Hello, hello, welcome back. Another episode of Building Better Bodies. How about we say Building Great Bodies?
Hey.
Doesn't start with the letter B, though. Building Better Bodies with Deven and the docs, Dr. Amir Rashidian, Brandy Rashidian, Deven Brady. And listen, we just ended one video, but we didn't want to stop recording. We wanted to go right back into the next video, and we ended the last one by talking about calories and trying to gain weight. And what I wanted to share with you guys is, years ago, I'm 44 years old. So this was when I was like late 20s, probably, or early 30s. I would read these books put out by people like Ronnie Coleman, and I'd look at his diet and how much he eats, and I go, I just gotta eat like that. So do you remember this? I would eat, my breakfast was the 6 eggs and a big giant bowl of oatmeal and like lots of vegetables, and I mean it would just take an hour just to eat that.
Right.
And then then I'd go to the gym and work out for 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, and then eat another gigantic meal, and then another giant, like 6 meals a day of tons and tons of food, and I gained a lot of weight.
Your neck got fat.
Yeah.
Got a
fat neck syndrome. And but how silly is that?
Yeah.
My goal was to get up 200 pounds. I weighed 199.9. I go, and then I said, this is not right.
Right.
Before I hit 200, we got to change this. So I went right back down. And so the thing is, when you want to gain weight, you have to create what we call a surplus, right? Just a small surplus.
Yeah.
Because you throw all that calorie, what's your body going to do with all that calories?
Yeah.
You don't have a means of burning it, and you don't have the means of converting it into muscle. And so what it's going to do is turn into fat, because that's what the body knows how to do, and just converts it to fat, and you'll gain weight, but you won't look the way you want to look.
That's right.
So I've lived through it, and I have some pictures that I'll spare you.
Yeah. And that's a fantastic real life example of something that I want to touch on. And I really like the fact that you brought that up, because we live in a social media happy environment where we have a lot of information at our fingertips. This is good, and it's also bad, because it depends on how we use the information. And that personal experience that Dr. Amir just shared with you guys is a great one. And it's one that I see every day, especially in young men and women who follow key fitness athletes, fitness professionals on YouTube or on a social media channel, and have access to these people's diets. It's very easy for us to see the diet plan of somebody that we admire, somebody that we want to look like and emulate, and want to just immediately absorb that for ourselves as if it's a one-size-fits-all. Let's stick with the Ronnie Coleman example. And if you don't know who Ronnie Coleman is, do yourself a favor, pause this video, Google image search Ronnie Coleman, and have a chair nearby, because you've probably never seen,
not like me.
you've probably never seen a human body with that much muscle mass on it. I mean, he attained bodybuilding sport's highest award 8 times in a row. So he was the 8-time Mr. Olympia. He tied Lee Haney for the most times anyone's ever done that. So in many people's eyes, he's the greatest bodybuilder of all time. With that being said, you have young Dr. Amir sees Ronnie Coleman, who in his off season, if we're being realistic and using science, he's 320 pounds of body weight at roughly 5'9", 5'10". So we also need to keep in mind that he is an elite level bodybuilder, so his body composition is roughly 90% muscle. So with that being said, it takes Ronnie Coleman a phenomenal amount of calories to support the amount of muscle that's on his frame. So that's the diet. The diet that Ronnie Coleman eats is specially tailored for the body Ronnie Coleman has. So when you have somebody like Dr. Amir, who makes a great example, because in the real world this happens all the time.
All the time.
People see something like that and they say, if I want to look like Ronnie Coleman, I just need to eat like Ronnie Coleman. But unfortunately, they're missing 200 pounds of muscle that separate Ronnie Coleman from themselves on average.
That's right.
So with that being said, that's why we talked about understanding how we effectively gain weight. So the problem is Amir's requirements for Dr. Amir's body are here, whereas Ronnie Coleman's intake is out here. So when he jumped to that incredibly high caloric surplus, it was way too much for his body to deal with or use properly to build muscle and lean muscle size. So all of the rest that it was getting, it was storing, according to Brandy, in Amir's neck. In the neck region. But the problem is that that's a very real example of the fact that he was clearly taking in way too many calories. So when we think about so when we think about intelligent weight loss or weight gain, we have to use technology to tailor our diet to fit our specific needs, not Ronnie Coleman's, not the person that we follow on Instagram or the person that we admire on social media, but us, our own bodies. We need to make sure that we are eating what's right to fuel us and our goals and our needs. So that means if we want to go up, it's a small surplus. If we want to go down, it's a small deficit. It works the same way in reverse.
Same exact way,
Exactly. The more you try to crash diet and pull massive amount of weights off of your body, you're going to have much more drastic side effects, crashes, lethargy, cravings, like irritability, hangry. All of these things come out because we're doing things that are too severe for our body design. So we just have to start to work with, no matter the goal, whatever the goal is, we have to work with our bodies, not against it.
True.
Yeah, literally, if you just cut 100 calories, figure out what you're taking in on a daily basis, and then just cut 100 calories.
Yeah.
You'll hardly notice it. I mean, literally, you won't know. I mean, it's just a little bit less food on each. If it's 3 meals,
right,
that's 35 calories roughly per meal you're cutting. It's not. It's like one less bite of the hamburger. Like leave the little tiny bit of the hamburger off, and that's 30 calories right there. You won't notice it, but you watch, you monitor, and then you'll start to drop a little bit. And as soon as you plateau and you're not dropping weight anymore, take another 100 calories off. And you'll start to go down.
Expend another 100 calories.
Right.
Oh, very good.
Right? Because sometimes it's a matter of increasing activity levels. So like on Saturday we finished our workout. We just had one kid in the play area.
Right.
I don't know where the other ones were. So we're like, let's jump on the treadmill. And we walked an extra like 20 minutes.
Perfect.
So, and we just walked and we talked and it was great time together, but
that's calories.
It was calories. So, and then we did not eat those additional calories later, even though we knew that we had been on the treadmill. So
exactly.
it was an easy way to improve that
Great
area.
point. Great point. And for those of you that are curious, obviously we talk about the technology that we can utilize. You'll hear us talk about the InBody scan unit a lot. One of the key features of the InBody unit, whether or not you were directed to it or not, is it actually calculates for anybody and everybody that steps on the machine your basal metabolic rate. So for those of you curious about what that is for us in the fitness field, your basal metabolic rate is basically the machine telling you that if you lived a completely sedentary lifestyle, so that's with little to no physical activity whatsoever, if you're on the lowest end of that threshold, the basal metabolic rate are the number of calories that you need to take in every day, each and every 24-hour period, in order to both sustain the level of muscle you have on your frame, as well as sustain the level of fat you have on your frame. Okay, so basically the basal metabolic rate is an understanding that if I want to keep my body composition exactly as it is, I need to give my body X number of calories a day. And part of the machine, part of the readout that you hear us talk about quite often is this number, this basal metabolic rate. It's an understanding of, in order for me to keep this much muscle as well as keep this much fat, I need to eat at least this many calories every day. So it's a great guiding tool. It's not a be-all, end-all, but it is a great guiding tool to let you know, okay, what should I be shooting for? Especially for those people that have no idea. And that's the majority of us. Like, don't feel like you're isolated or marginalized if you don't have an idea of how many calories you eat every day. I think that's the vast majority of people don't know. But that piece of information can help us start to get more invested in ourselves, start to kind of look at things more critically, read nutrition labels, get an understanding of what it is that we're eating and how those macronutrients work in our body. And then that piece of information becomes incredibly helpful because then we know it has to go up if we become more active. We know it has to come up incrementally if we want to gain weight. And we know that number has to come down incrementally if we want to lose weight.
Yeah.
So it turns your goal into a science kind of, and it really helps to keep things moving.
It does, and I think it's a good lead in, because if you haven't been doing that, but you really want to really begin to change your body composition, you really have to be, because it doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by just going, I'm just going to eat 1,500 calories a day, or I'm just going to eat lettuce, or, you know, because a lot of us have that blanket, you know, thought process is if we just do this, but there really is so much into it. So it's a great entryway to say, okay, this is my starting place. Now I know this is what I need to survive. So if I'm just sitting on the couch watching episodes of Bachelor or Game of Thrones or
which
whatever
we
it
never
is,
do.
which we never do, or whatever my thing is, just to survive and not change a bit. This is what I need to. What I need to eat. But if I want to make changes and I don't want to go crazy, here's what I need to do. So that's a good entryway. And then it leads you to go, okay, so maybe this is my calorie count, but then maybe I want to start being more cautious on my simple carbs that I'm taking in. So here's now what I need to address. Once you get one thing down, it can lead you to another and another and another, and really get defined on your nutrition, which is going to just push you leaps and bounds into your, you know, building the body that you really, really want to have, because it's not going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen just by stepping in the gym and just doing your reps and, you know, knocking those out. And it's not going to happen by just eating or eating 1,500 calories and not being in the gym either. So it's about starting to pull it all together and, you know, take these jigsaw pieces and put them together to create that picture that you want.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself, and that's part of what it is that we do as fitness professionals. That's what kind of part of the reasons and part of the things that we afford to anybody and everybody is part of this partnership between myself and Dr. Amir and Brandy at Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic. Is we want to get you guys moving. We want to get you in. We want to get you invested in yourself and your future and the longevity and health of the rest of your life. So with that being said, we try to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So again, the promotion is still long-standing with One Lifestyle Frederick. Just come in, mention myself, mention Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic, mention the videos. You get free 7 days. In that 7 days, you can feel free to talk to me as a trainer, talk to me as a resource, schedule a consultation. We'll get you on the InBody, the infamous InBody machine that you hear so much about. And it's my job to not only get you on it, but sit down with you and interpret these results for you. So you're not just left with a piece of paper and no clue. It's my job to sit down and explain it to you, digest it. What are things we're concerned about? What are things we're not concerned about?
Absolutely.
And help kind of push you in the direction of making real progress.
And it's not just about, if you don't want to be a bodybuilder, if you don't want to gain, you know, 10 inches in muscle, why you wouldn't want larger biceps, I don't know. But if it's not your thing, it's okay, because there's still pertinent information in the InBody, like what's your visceral fat. Like that's sometimes can be a game changer in your health. So having those pieces of information are just really important to knowing where you are. So half the time it's just knowing where you are. You got to start somewhere.
So you will be treated like a VIP when you walk in there. Trust me.
Right.
You'll be. All you have to do is mention the videos. You'll see. Just try it out. Just if you just want to come and be treated like royalty, just do that. Just come mention Deven, say the video, and you'll get whisked away to places, and
Just make sure he's there.
Make sure he's there, but you'll love it. You'll love it.
Yes.
You'll love it. Anyway, see you on the next video.
See ya.
Bye.